Do you have trouble following through on breaking bad habits or building new good habits? Well, you're not alone, and today I'm going to be helping you fix that problem so you can start transforming your life for the better immediately. My name is Mark Kweppet, and this is the Frontline Man series, where I help men eliminate escapism and unleash their potential. There's a number of reasons why you might struggle to improve your habits, but there's one reason that's bigger and more fundamental than all the rest, and that is what we're going to be covering today. So I'm going to tell you a little story to set this up, all right? So there was a period where some of my older relatives, they were, less than computer savvy, and they sort of saw me as their informal tech support. They'd call me up saying that, their computer wasn't working or their printer wasn't working, and, I was like, please help me fix it. And so one of the first things I would always ask them is, well, is it plugged in? And is it turned on, right? And there are more than a few times where this was the problem. They plugged it in, they turned it on, and all of a sudden, hey, their printer works, etc., right? Now, ironically, in my 10 years as a men's coach, I've run into almost the exact same issue when it comes to helping guys create permanent habit change. You see, habit change is a process that requires energy. Like just how a computer or a printer requires power, from the electricity in order to work. Well, we need power in order to create habit change. So if your habit change process is not plugged into a power source inside of you, it's not going to work. So what is this power source? Well, to sum it up, it is big, juicy desires. Basically, unless your habit change is clearly tied to moving you towards something you want with a deep and burning desire, you're going to end up slacking on the habit, or you're going to end up giving up on it altogether. You can think of this as finding your why, but the key is a lot of guys, when they think about, well, why do you want to do this, whatever, they go very cognitive, they go very rational, they go very intellectual. And the problem is the rational, intellectual part of yourself doesn't actually control your neurochemical juice, all right? That's something that's more of your limbic brain. And so it has to come down into this why, where it's very almost primal. It's instinctive. It's emotional. It's like, what's the reason that really fires you up? And this has to be crystal clear. So let's do a few examples here, right? I've helped a lot of guys quit porn. And a lot of guys, when they're trying to quit porn, they approach this from a very heady, should perspective. I should do this because it's right, and because, using porn is wrong, or, very logically, it's wasting all of my energy. And if I quit it, then I'll have all this more time and focus, and my dopamine will be better, and all this kind of stuff. Usually very heady stuff. But what I would often have to help them do is drill into, well, what do you really stand to gain for this? What do you really stand to gain from this that you really deeply, truly want? And so for a lot of guys, it could be maybe that they find a fulfilling, intimate, committed, and hot romantic life. Okay, and they think about that. It's oh yeah, no, there's no way I'm going to get that while I'm still using porn. So yes, that's the thing I really want. And a lot of guys have trouble with this. They have trouble really being honest about the thing that moves them because they think it's lower or baser, or it's not moral enough or whatever. And the thing is, when you do that, you're really cutting yourself off from your power. Now, it's not always going to be sex, but for a lot of guys' motivations, that is a very popular one, and that's okay to lean into it, But for other guys, it's okay, I want to quit porn because I want to make a ton of money, and porn is getting in the way of that, or they want to build their career, or whatever it is. But you just got to get clear on what's the big outcome you're looking to achieve, and, write it down. And if you think about that outcome, does that really make you excited? Does that really fire you up? If it doesn't, then that's not going to be a sufficient why. That's not going to be a sufficient driver for you. Basically, you got to find the outcome that your emotional self gets hyped on, and then make that the reason why you keep pushing forward in those moments of craving, in those moments of resistance. It's say you want to get into fantastic shape. Okay, well, what's the awesome outcome you stand to gain that gets you pumped up just thinking about it? Is it that you want your wife to give you that look again, where she wants you? Maybe it's that, you want to be able to walk into a room in a professional setting and have your physique communicate an aura of power, discipline, and self-confidence. Maybe it's just that, you want to be able to go on vacation, take your shirt off at the beach, and not feel anxious. You want to be able to feel confident, relaxed, and feel like your physique represents the man that you really are deep down, okay? Whatever it is, just get clear on it. Okay. Maybe if you want to be productive. Okay, what does that productivity unlock for you? Productivity just for the sake of being productive, that's rarely anyone's actual goal. It's like, hey, do you want to just be busy and have to work hard for the rest of your life? No, not necessarily. You're usually productivity is a means to an end. Identify that end. Okay, maybe it's like you want to make money so that you can take care of your parents or your family, okay? Maybe it's being able to be employed in your dream career, and you know that you can only really live out your dream career if you're really working hard at it. Maybe, again, it all comes down to sex. It's like, you need to work hard to get the income to get a girl to look at you, whatever it is, okay? But get clear. Getting clear on it is just the first step. We also need to keep this front of mind. All right, and this was one of the big things that was a big game changer for guys who went through my recent Frontline Man cohort. I got them clear on exactly what was motivating them, but then it was like, all right, well, how do we systematically keep this top of mind? And as we did that, their progress dramatically improved. And just speaking of the Frontline Man cohort, if you want to get alerted to the next one that I'm running, and you also want to get my free upcoming guide on eliminating escapism and optimizing your habits, then make sure you click the link in the description. But keeping this vision that inspires you top of mind isn't always easy. And there's a reason for this, because if you're trying to create sustainable habit change in your life, the reality is that it's going to probably go slower than you might want, right? Because big goals, they take work, it's steady progress, it's step by step. There's a lot of challenges and stuff along the way. And it can take months and months to really feel like you've significantly moved the needle in these things. But what you want to avoid is making sure that you don't lose sight of the top of the mountain and get caught staring at your feet. So what do I mean by this? Well, you can think of a good goal as like a mountaintop that you're climbing, and at the top of that mountaintop, you see this glowing pile of treasure. And that's the big juicy desire we want to get. And when you look at that, that treasure at the top of the mountain, you get filled with all this motivation. But the issue is that while you're climbing this mountain, sometimes the path gets tricky. Sometimes it gets treacherous. You'll have problems to solve. You have to make, complex decisions. You might have to defeat some monsters, etc. So to do that, you got to lower your focus. You got to stop looking at that treasure, and you got to look at, the path right in front of you. Now, the challenge is sometimes when we do that, we're dealing with the problems on the path to the goal. We lose sight of the goal, right? We get caught up being like, this sucks. I got this problem here. I got that challenge here. I tried this. It didn't work. I had this slip. And all you end up doing when you really focus on that stuff is you're populating your brain with the stuff that you don't really want, right? Most of us are not going to walk a challenging path because we just want a challenging path. We want to walk a challenging path so we can get something that's worth it, right? But if you let your brain become consumed with the problems in front of you of walking the path, well, then what happens is that's what gets plugged into your brain. That's what is filling up your neurons. And guess what kind of energy gets produced by that? You get bored of it. You get, disheartened. You get frustrated. And then what happens is all the distractions, all the diversions, they start seeming more and more appealing. And so really what needs to happen is that you must always bring your mind back to that mountaintop. And you must have a system in place that really keeps you there. Okay, and this is why I've created the Frontline Man program. It's a system that'll keep you focused and motivated on your biggest goals while also letting you overcome the challenges along the way. So you can click the link in the description if you want to be on the wait list to receive that guide and hear more about the Frontline Man cohort. But really, this big thing that I want you to take home from this video is to know what the big thing you're looking for is from a habit change, and make sure you really freaking want it. And if you can't find something, find a different habit, because you don't really want that thing and you're not going to be able to do it. So move on to somewhere where you do have that fire, you do have that motivation. And sometimes you're just going to have to think bigger. You're going to have to think bolder, and you're going to have to really get in tune with what you want. And once you can find that, once you can find those big desires, those are your big those are your superpowers, really. Your biggest desires are your biggest superpowers in life. And as long as you put them at the end of your path and you keep your eyes on them, then you will always achieve what you want to achieve. Or at least you'll get something comparable, if not even better. So if you found this useful, please make sure you like and subscribe, turn on those notifications so you don't miss any new episodes in this series, and I'll see you in the next one. Ooyah.